What's up everyone, and thank you so much for watching. Now if you've been following my channel, you might have noticed that a few friends and I have been heading to a couple local crawling competitions with our Traxxas TRX4s. We've been doing pretty well, but there's always room for improvement. Now obviously with any RC competition, it comes down to the driver, so that's most of it. But there are definitely some things that you can actually buy to improve how your truck handles the course. So this video is going to kind of go over the stuff that I've done to my truck and maybe help guide you in a way so that you don't end up wasting money and you actually do end up doing better if you do compete. Now later on in the video we are going to head back down to Hobbytown down in Toms River, New Jersey, and we're going to put it to the test along with my other buddies. Some running Traxxas, other guys running Axial, but it'll be good to actually see how the truck does in a performance setting and a competition, and hopefully this week we have our best performance yet. So stay tuned. So here we have our Traxxas TRX4 Sport, right? So this is the Sport, and over the past couple months I have been upgrading it and improving it, and now that we actually have a place to test it, it's been very interesting to see. So I don't want to bore you too much with this, but let's real quickly go over everything I've done to this truck to actually get it to perform better in a competition setting. There we go. Off with that. Alright, so it is a little bit of a wiring mess, I'll admit. I'm not the best at that, but overall that doesn't matter as long as it works, right? So basically your stock kit, some of the simple things I've done would be to change out the oil in the shocks. The stuff that comes in the kit is very thin, especially if you end up weighting the axles, and it can make the truck very unstable if you're on a, kind of an incline or an off-camber section. So I went with 70 weight oil in there. It's definitely slowed it down a lot, and I have noticed a big improvement there. I built the kit with a Holmes Hobbies 27-turn Torque Master motor. This is a nice expensive brushed motor there. So I'll be running this truck on 3S. I have a small kind of 1300 mAh 3S battery that we use for competition. The competition's actually very short. You only get 2 runs, so you don't need a big battery. We're now out on the trail for hours here, so just what you need and nothing that you don't. That's the idea if you're going to try to build a competition level crawler. Have installed a Hobbywing Quick Run crawling ESC. It's basic, it's pretty cheap, but it works well, and it also comes with a nice programming box if you want to make adjustments on the fly. I really like this as opposed to like Tekin stuff, which can be a little confusing where you need to buy extra stuff to be able to adjust it. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that have no problem using that stuff, but something simple about the old programming box. Now let's be honest, guys. You could throw a lot of money into a truck, especially the TRX4. There's tons of aftermarket parts that you can buy, and you can definitely go overboard. I mean, there's enough brass stuff out here for this truck that you could spend just as much on that stuff as you do on the kit itself. So it's a good idea to just not overdo it. There is something to be said about having a truck that's light, right? So you want it heavy in certain spots and as light as possible in others. Generally speaking, with the crawler, you want to have the weight further forward and lower, right? Because you don't want the truck to be top heavy in situations where you're off camber and crawling or ascending or descending a hill. If you make the truck too heavy, it can make it descend oddly and also puts a strain on the drivetrain. So you really have to be smart about the things that you install on the truck and, get the best bang for your buck. Tires are a big deal too. So you have to have the right tires and foams in there. The stock tires from Traxxas are really good. This competition limits our tire height to 4.7 inches. So basically, this was the one I had picked. I've been running these a few weeks now, and this is the RC 4-wheel drive Milestar Patagonia tire. It's got pretty good scale looks, but it's the compound that's really nice. Very, very sticky, very soft. You also do need to pick the right foams, so I have a little bit of a softer foam in the front to let the tire, as I'm steering and turning, be able to mold to the surface. In the back, a little bit stiffer so that the back end of the truck doesn't kind of want to wallow over. The truck does come with stiffer springs in the back than it does in the front, so that also can kind of help let the front maneuver through the course and have the back not be sloppy as you go. This is also not the stock bumper. This is like a $35 bumper you can kind of get on Amazon. I have modified a little bit. I cut off the D-ring hooks there because they were snagging a little bit. It's a big aluminum heavy bumper, so having the weight out forward in front of the truck can help keep the front end down a little bit. And it's got a couple little LEDs in there, which is pretty cool. Gives a little scale look. Now these guys aren't really concerned with how scale the truck actually looks. They don't require an interior or anything like that. So it's mostly performance based. There are a couple rules like the tires, like I had mentioned. So, you know, having the scale accessories on there is really the last thing that I want to do. And I'm not going to put a big heavy body or anything like that. You want to have all the weight down low. And that's where the brass does come in. So in my truck, I have installed some Endura brass inserts for the outside of the portal cover, you can see there. Those are very heavy. They're about 96 grams a piece, so big chunk of brass. And that's it. That's all the brass I've put on this truck. Another way you can improve the performance of your truck is getting heavier wheels. These are not steel or aluminum wheels. These are actually Traxxas plastic beadlock wheels. They're cheap. I went cheap this way, and I was, you know, because wheels can be expensive, as we all know, if you've ever looked. Probably one of the best ways to improve the performance of your truck is to actually get heavier wheels, for obvious reasons. But for this application, these are just plastic beadlocks. I did paint these outside rings black. The inside ones are red. That's how they came. But for the front tires, I ended up installing some Horizon Hobby weighted tape. And I basically just wrap that around the inside of the rim, and that adds, I believe, about 12 grams of weight per wheel. So put the weight on the front of the truck, and that'll allow it to climb a little bit better. Probably not as heavy as a real steel wheel, but again, I kind of cheaped out, and I wanted to see how, if I could get the same performance with less money. Now, if I take the wheel off, you can see that I had a little bit of a fit issue with these covers here. I'm also running some Racing brass hexes there. They're plus, I think they're +5, so it does widen the truck a little bit, the stance of the tires. But these Traxxas wheels have a pretty narrow beadlock, inside beadlock there. So I had to take the brass part to the grinder to allow the tire to fit. Well, I should say the wheel to fit over the brass part. I'd rather do that than have to buy new stuff. So, you know, that's kind of the cool part about crawling, is that you get to kind of customize your truck, and it's not all about what you buy, it's how you install it. Really, the only other mod I've done to this truck is go for the reduced gearing in the back diff. So the idea is that if you reduce the gear ratio in the back, basically the front tires spin a little quicker than the rear. And that's going to allow the truck, the front end of the truck, to kind of pull itself around the course and give you a little advantage in tight corners and that kind of thing. But this week, I finally made what I believe to be the last upgrade to this truck that I'm going to do. Yeah, right. And that is basically, if you want the maximum wheel difference as far as getting the front tires to spin quicker, they do offer an Overdrive gear for the front. It's about $40, and it's a nice machine piece of steel. It's basically the ring and the pinion that goes inside the diff housing. And so now I have, not only do I have the rear wheels spinning slower than stock, the front wheels are going to spin faster than stock. So this is the biggest difference you can make as far as the gearing goes in a Traxxas truck. I'm not exactly sure if it's too much or if it's going to be just right. But for the Sport, which is locked front and rear all the time, I think this makes a lot of sense, especially depending on what kind of course you're running, which is the one we're going to be on, as you'll see, is very tight, and a lot of it has to do with how you can kind of twist your truck through the gates to get it to not hit. So I'm going to install that really quick, and then we're going to head out to the competition. So here we go. All right, so now you can see I have taken the axle off. You are going to have to take your axle off to install this gearing. And the last part is to just get these 4 screws off of here so that we can remove the diff cover, and we can pop in our new gear. All right, and there we have it. Really simple, guys. You're just going to slide out your little center here. Take your bearings off. They'll just slide right off. And you're going to have to unbolt the ring here and remove the pinion from inside the housing. This is here, you can see the difference. This is just probably a cast piece of steel, where this one is machined, which is always a nice little upgrade. So not only are you potentially improving the performance of your truck, you're also making it a little bit more durable with this nicer part. All right, so there we have it, all reassembled. Just a little note, make sure that you do tighten these little screws all the way in. They're a little bit hesitant. I think that the holes that they go in, at least the outside diameter, are a very tight tolerance. So basically, make sure that you get that all the way screwed down, because this is very important that this gear is flush with the spool there. Here we go. Come on. Get on there. So there it is. Give the teeth a good greasing here. I'm using a DT Swiss special grease. Put a little grease on the new pinion in there just to make sure everything runs nice and smoothly and is also a little bit weatherproofed. I don't go crazy with the grease because I don't really drive my truck in the water too much, and it's pretty well sealed in there. So let's button it back up, get the axle back on the truck, and then we'll be ready to head out. All right, all buttoned up again, and figured I'd give it a little test try here. Let's see if it actually comes out on video, the difference. But hit the throttle, and you can see for sure the front wheels spin faster than the rear. And that's the idea here. You want this thing to basically crawl its way around. It's kind of pulling itself from the front to the back. So we'll see. Now that it's all buttoned up, I think we're ready to go. And time to head over and see how we do. So let's go.
You're like, he
Alan.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
you go through the V-crack,
Lights look kind of dim.
then you go up, you do a 180.
Yeah, we'll spin.
Ready to do the red course?
Was this the one that was on the rear check?
No?
Scratch.
Nice, Scott.
He's very down there, rear guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron's
He's not
very
actually
nice. Big. Dude's up here.
Yeah.
I did not ever realize that.
Oh, the cow cat store running.
Yeah.
Down.
Oh, the car that they bought in SEMA was atrocious. We got trashed for it. Yeah. We
Yeah, I think-
And they all the social media bring intake. It was the year of the
All week.
um,
15.
Had to go out and 45, 70,
25 and 20. 45 and 70 are great scores.
That's my job.
Well, I almost got a super shafted transmission for this thing.
Really? Oh yeah, you can tell me about that. You got all
No.
Can I grab the store right there, please?
Where am I going? Right here?
Yep. Go right there and then up to the beach.
Not expect the backside of the tire, man.
You are a winch. Get up there.
Winch it.
Where are they with to now?
How long's the cable?
How long's your lead?
18 feet. How long are they?
What?
Anyway, let's see here. Steve, the 5 on the red.
Scott, what do you think I'll run this next time?
85 for me. Well, that sums it up. We got to find out our scores, gentlemen. So, am I obsessing way too much over a little truck? Yes. Am I a grown man who is playing with tiny remote-controlled vehicles? You better believe it. Am I spending far too much time putting effort and money into a small RC vehicle? Of course. But who cares, honestly? Alright, so when it all comes down to it, what is the verdict for this competition? The gearing upgrades that I did to that truck made a huge difference. I could tell straight away that the truck was turning better and could maneuver the course way better than it could before. So I would say those underdrive and overdrive gears are far worth the money. If you're going to spend anything on your Traxxas to get it to maneuver and handle a crawling competition course better, I would say do it. But other than that, it's up to you. I would never presume to tell you how to build your truck. Of course, that's part of the hobby. You know, you're going to build it however you like, and maybe you're going to add more or add less. But ultimately, there are things you can do to make it better, and the gearing is something you can do to improve the handling of your truck. So anyway, thank you for so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time on RC Must See. We were going to have lots more content, and hopefully we're going to continue this fun into the winter season up here in New Jersey. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace!